It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Chicka chicka boom boom. It's a Leo Be the Lion show. Boom boom. Gonna tell you what you need to know. Boom boom. Now here comes your boy Leo. Hey everybody, it's your boy Leo B the Lion coming to you live from Respectable Street here on Clematis in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. I am here live now in a new time slot from 6 to 7 live on subcultureradio.com. That's subcultureradio.com. If you go there and you'll see a listen live link and you click on that link, you can hear my dulcet tones on from 6 to 7 live. And if you can't catch me live, check out my YouTube videos on Leo B the Lion Show. You can search for me via Leo B the Lion Show on Twitter and IG, and also on YouTube at Leo B the Lion Show. I changed my handle so that you could reach me easier. Now, this is the Leo B the Lion Show, and we have a jam-packed show for you today. I hope everybody has a happy Valentine's Day out there, and you find love in a hopeless place, as Rihanna would say, to borrow a line from Rihanna in the Super Bowl. Yes, she was the Super Bowl halftime, and we will get into that. But first, we're going to get into the financial calendar for the week, see what's happening on the market, see what happened today on the market, and kind of give you my spiel as to, you know, what's going on, what indicators can you look out for, what reports can you look out for during the week to understand where your money's going, where the financial markets are headed, where the equity markets are headed. Then I'll get into the Super Bowl 57 review and recap and what it means for the NFL landscape going forward and the Chiefs and Eagles legacy. This was one of those games where you're sitting there saying to yourself, it's shaping up to be a pretty good game. And it ended up so, yeah, there was a little bit of a rain on the parade towards the end because the competitive nature of the game was so, it really was a competitive game, and their margin for error was so little, so fine margin of error. So when the refs did make a call towards the end, it did seem to swing the game in a certain direction. Then after that, I'll get into the NFL awards. Last week, they had the NFL honor ceremony for the NFL awards, and I'll let you know if I was correct and what I think about those. Then we'll get into the NBA trade deadline. The NBA trade deadline kind of took over the Super Bowl headlines over the weekend. The deadline was on Thursday. However, over the weekend, news came out several big-name stars from Brooklyn got traded, and Brooklyn is now in rebuilding mode, so we'll get into that. And what happened with the Magic? Did the Magic make any moves? They kind of did, so we'll get into that. Then we will get into my hashtag 5-pack of picks for the week. I'm picking now NBA games. There's no more NFL games. And we have the NBA All-Star game coming up, All-Star weekend coming up soon. So I'm going to be picking the 5 Wednesday games. And then if we have time, I'll get into a little bit something else. But first, I wanted to just make a mention, just something that I've been noticing going on in terms of a business landscape. And it's use of the meme, but the number of car washes in Palm Beach County is entirely too damn high. We have a car wash on every corner, it feels like, in Palm Beach County. And I realize that, and what you don't realize maybe as the consumer, but for me trying to study it as why would there be a lot of car washes? One, it's a high margin. You only have to really pay for the water and the apparatus, and then you could pay for a few employees. But other than that, everything is self-service. So the people have to just basically do the work to get their car washed. And then when they scroll through the car wash, the business covers themselves by saying, we're not liable for any scratches on your clear coat. We're not liable for any antennas that pop off. We're not liable for anything that happens to your grill, to your wheels, to your brakes, to your hubs, to whatever. We're not liable for that. But what I can tell you is that the number of car washes in Palm Beach County is entirely too damn high. I see us having an affordable housing problem and having a housing problem in general. And then I also see in Palm Beach County we have our business landscape is kind of like crazy because we have so many of these boutique businesses here, and that's cool because they want to get the tax haven. But then we also have these car washes that literally is preying on people just being lazy to not have to not want to wash the car themselves, not knowing that the car washes are putting swirls in your car paint. The car washes aren't doing anything for you. And I'm a victim of it personally because, I'm like anybody. They said, "Hey, do you want to subscribe? $25 a month, all you can wash. I said, "Yeah, sure, sign me up." Well, 3 months went by and I hadn't been to the car wash once. And they damn sure charged me $25 a month regardless. And so I said, this is such a scam. And then when you see coming over on Okeechobee and Jog, you're like, oh, this would be a perfect spot for some apartment complexes or for some townhomes. But no, it's another car wash going up, literally 1/10 of a mile away from the car wash on Haverhill and Okeechobee. So what I'm saying is the number of car washes are entirely damn too high. Yeah, I'm a capitalist by nature. I would want to see people's businesses succeed. I don't want put any limits on businesses. But, dog, before we approve the zoning or whatever, can at least Palm Beach County build with some sort of, like plan? Like, especially here in West Palm Beach, not to talk about car washes, but it seems like all these businesses and high-rises are opening in downtown West Palm Beach. But where the hell is all the parking garages? There's no damn parking anywhere in West Palm Beach. I was here on Saturday and Sunday. Junk was filled up, backing up all the way onto Flagler by Elizabetta, because they still have an old school, like 4-story parking garage where the junk is just bad. We need more parking, and that's what it's okay to have growth, but you can't just have unchecked growth and just say, oh yeah, bring your businesses, bring your housing, but if nobody has anywhere to park, what you gonna do? Is gonna be frustration that's going to arise so many places, and it's going to turn downtown West Palm Beach into a hellscape. But I digress. Let's get into the financial markets for the day. I'm always keeping my ear and my eyes open for businesses. So when I see some businesses that aren't doing right or kind of like, yeah, okay, another car wash, do we really need that? Think about it. Do we really need another car wash in a place where it rains 200 days out of the year? We don't really need a car wash on every street corner. So now I'll get off that soapbox, and we'll get into the financial calendar for the week. The financial calendar for Valentine's Day week from the 13th to the 17th goes as follows. Today, the Dow and the S&P were up a couple percent each. S&P was up like 1.14%. And today there was the consumer inflation expectations. It was projected at 5%, but in actuality, it did come back in exactly at 5%. Since August, the inflation indicator has dropped. So since in August 2022, the inflation indicator was about 6.2%, and now it's down to 5. Now that is a decrease in about 6 months of 1.5%. But I mean 1.2%. But the key is that this just shows that the economy is improving. The Fed is trying to tackle inflation, albeit they might not be tackling it fast enough, where we see prices of food and energy still high. And but the inflation expectations, consumer inflation doesn't cover food and energy. It really covers like prices of goods and services. Now, the inflation is slowing down, but normally in high inflationary pressure times, when the Fed raises their interest rates, the economy can overheat, and it shocks the system where the economy also comes to a standstill with high inflation and high interest rates. But the economy as it stands is still moving forward, is still expanding, but the inflation is it's slowing down. We're not seeing as much inflationary pressure, but the economy is still moving forward. So that's a good sign for the year. Now, on Tuesday, on Valentine's Day, we will get the report of the core CPI, which is the core consumer price index, and it's projected at 0.4% or 40 basis points. And what that tells you is that the measure of prices for goods and services, excluding food and energy. So when you see a core consumer price index, that's how much on average you're paying for month over month. So month over month, last month you might have been paying about 0.4 cheaper for consumer prices. Consumer prices have gone up by that. And then when you see if you see the price jumping higher than normal, then that's a key indicator that inflation is going on and being left unchecked. But and it's bullish for the dollar, but it's worse for the consumer. So that just means that it takes more dollars to purchase things, but it's worse for the consumer because now you got to pay $12 for eggs. And so we want that number to stay down, to stay low. And just to give you an example, in normal years where there's no recession, there's very little to no recessionary pressure and very little to no expanding pressure, just a normal year like where the market is just going business as usual, where there's nothing crazy, no black swan events, nothing going crazy on the market. The consumer price index for the entire year is projected at 3%. So if you take this 0.4 for 1 month, there's 12 months in the year. So let's just round that to 0.5. That just means that the consumer price index is basically on track right now at this point to reach about 6%. So that's 3% higher than what is normal in an expanding economy for the GDP. Now, the core year over year, like I did mention when I did the little math, is forecast to be 5.5%, which is right in line with the 0.4 / if you round up to 0.5 and you multiply that by 12, you get 6%. So it's projected to be 5.5%. And what I thought what that's interesting is that it just shows that no matter how high the interest rates, the Fed had to be very careful in raising interest rates because it will stop all borrowing, especially when the rate is so high that you can't even get that anywhere near that in a savings account. When rates go up and it costs more to borrow and it costs more to purchase a house, any type of loan, it costs you more. Borrowing stops. If you think of the U.S. economy as a one household, if your credit card rates go up by 15%, you're not going to use that credit card as much. You're not gonna utilize that credit line as much if your rate skyrockets. Same thing with the U.S. economy. If interest rates rise too fast and there's inflationary pressure where your dollar doesn't even go as farther anymore and the rates go up, you're not going to want to borrow. It's going to stagnate the economy and throw the economy into recession. So the Fed had to be careful with the way that they raise rates, whether it be half a point, whole point, quarter point. Like I've mentioned before in other Leo Be the Lion shows, other episodes, that the Fed's tools to control the economy, to control inflation and interest rates, is to increase or decrease the money supply. And the way that they do that is by either printing more money, which is selling bonds, or buying bonds. If they buy bonds, that means they're paying the market to buy the bonds, so they're reducing the amount of money. So that's like if you imagined, if I have $50 and I want to buy a bond, I'm going to say, I need this money for later, but I need to reduce my money supply, so I'm going to buy this bond, and so it reduces the money supply. But if I turn around and I say as the household, if I say, I'm going to sell this bond, and then I get paid for that, and I get an extra $50, I just increased my money supply. So that's what the Fed does. They buy and sell bonds on the Federal Open Market Committee, or they raise or lower the interest rates. And those are the only two tools that the Fed has to control the U.S. economy, to keep the economy in check. Now for Wednesday, we have the retail sales forecast, and that's the price of how the retail sales are doing. And if the higher the price, that means there's more sales going on. And then the lower the forecast, that means there's fewer sales at the retail level going on. So the forecast right now for Wednesday is 1.8%, and that's about that's a good percentage because in January and December the percentage was a little bit higher, about a little bit over 2, because we were expecting, the holiday season, retail sales will go up. But now that it's into February, into March, retail sales forecasts have dipped. And so you can expect, we kind of have a seasonal economy when it comes to retail sales, with these big swings around the holidays, not necessarily just the November, December, but we also have big swings around President's Day, tax time, April 15th. And why is that? Because people are getting some discretionary income, tax time. People are getting discretionary income, or items go on major discounts during President's Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, Super Bowl weekend. Those things go on major discounts, so people buy that. People get on their discretionary income tip. Then on Thursday, on 2/16, we have the initial jobless claims. It's forecasted at 200,000. You say, Leo, be the line. Remind me, what's like the jobless claims again? That comes out every week, and the jobless claims is a component of the unemployment rate. So what the jobless claim shows is that in the past week, how many people applied for unemployment insurance? Like, how many people applied for unemployment pay? And what that tells you is it's a week-by-week thing, and right now it's forecasted at 200,000 for this week, and it's going to be, for last week, it's going to be announced on Wednesday. But in the previous weeks and previous months, the number was in the 180s, 190s, and that's because, like I mentioned before, we had the holiday season, and we had the purchasing of more retail sales. So that in turn, businesses were hiring more during the holiday season. Businesses were in more demand for hiring. And if you look around the city, if you look around the county, and you look around Southeast, I can't speak for really anything else. This is the Leo B. the Lion show. We give you sports and business with a South Florida flavor. In South Florida, there are a lot of jobs. Yeah, but the one caveat is that we haven't seen a lot of job growth in mid to upper class jobs. There's plenty of jobs. I always see Wendy's hiring. I always see McDonald's hiring right now. But to be real, it's not really a living wage for most people, especially with the amount of rent going up and the amount of the cost of housing in general just is exorbitant right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of job openings, but there may not be the most quality jobs. So we need to kind of figure out how, as an economy, as a local economy, kind of just to work on having those job openings. Now, Palm Beach County, I work for Palm Beach County government and fixed assets, but Palm Beach County, I know, does a good job of encouraging businesses to move into the county that would commit to having openings of jobs. So there's certain industries like biotech, IT, in financial companies. There's various industries that we give incentives to for businesses to move if they commit to hiring a certain number of employees at a certain rate. And so that's the one tool that we could use as a county to help draw businesses with higher paying jobs. But at the same time, this next report is going to show you why maybe, just maybe, that things might be a little different. So now, if we, that's Thursday, excuse me, I said initial jobless claims. I want to get back to Wednesday really quick because we had the crude oil inventories. And on Wednesday, it'll just let you know how much oil is out there if we have, and it's like in our oil reserves. So if our crude oil inventories are high, chances are that's a bearish attitude for the price of oil because there's not as much demand for the crude oil across all markets, and the price should go down. But if we have a fewer inventory, we have less inventory of oil in our crude oil inventories, then that's a bullish signal for oil prices and oil prices to go up, because that's signaling that demand is high and that the supply, we can't keep enough supply in our inventories to slow down the price appreciation. And just for those who don't know, if I say bullish, that just means I think it's going to go, the price is going to rise. And if I say bearish, I think that the price is going to drop. So now in Thursday, the report that I wanted to mention was the Producer Price Index. This is the index in which producers, so not consumers, but producers have to pay for their raw goods and materials. And this is important because this is how you see if really if producers are kind of price gouging, or if producers are kind of being true to their inputs. So when I say their inputs, I mean their cost of business and their cost of goods sold. So when they say, oh, the Producer Price Index is forecast at 0.4, last month it was negative 0.5, and that was lower than expected. And so what that shows you is that producers aren't paying as much for maybe goods and services, for their raw materials and for their businesses much anymore. So it's just peculiar when you see prices are still high, because if producers and businesses aren't paying as much for their inputs, their output, their margin shouldn't be as high. But we all know when it happened with the pandemic, aka the pandemonium, we all know that when that happened, lots of businesses artificially raised their prices and still haven't reduced them to pre-pandemic levels. So that's just how it goes. I mean, I'm just going to, this is how the Leo Be the Line show. I'm going to give it to you honest, and I'm just going to go like this with the curtain and say, come behind the curtain of business and see what kind of is in the mind of, is what all factors into the business decisions. And a lot of businesses use the U.S. market, U.S. equities, stock market to determine where they're going the next 3, 6, 12 months and into the future. Now on Friday, we have the import and export indicators, where prices of imports and exports are basically increasing or decreasing. And U.S. always has a negative trade balance. So that means that we import more than we export. If we were a country like China, they have a positive trade balance where they export more than they import. And so what that does is, if you're importing more than you export, that means that the value of your currency is stronger. That means that people will invest into the country more. But it's dangerous, because if you have a lot of foreign investment in your country because you run a negative balance of trade, you could end up with situations where we have now, where some say that China has bought up a lot of farmland. Some say that we owe money to China, to the EU, to all these countries because of the negative trade balance, because they were like, oh, we have a strong dollar, let's invest in the dollar. And how do you invest in the dollar? By buying businesses and goods and services that came from the United States. So that's just interesting to think about. The U.S. has been in a negative trade balance since 1975, like I said before, meaning that we import more than we export. And if you look at the landscape, it's kind of, you can see that through lack of manufacturing jobs and the push by the last 2 presidential administrations to bring back manufacturing jobs to kind of decrease that trade balance. We'll see how it works into the future. I think that we've turned into a consumer nation, and I don't think there's much we can do to reduce that or to change our stripes now that we are on this pattern of being a consumer nation. And I'm guilty of it too. I've always said there's 2 types of people, spenders and savers. I'm in finance and I'm a spender. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to save, but that's just how it goes. I think most of Americans are spenders as it comes down to it. So now, after getting into the financial markets and discussing what's going on with the financial markets for this week on the economic calendar, we're going to get into the Super Bowl 57 review and recap of last night's Super Bowl epic matchup of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll just put the headline right now. Chiefs win on last-minute field goal, 38-35. It was the Chiefs' second title in their last second title in the last 4 years, and their third overall. The Chiefs were able to win Super Bowl IV, and then in 2019 they were able to win, and then now again in 2022-23 they were able to win. So they have 3 Super Bowls. And it was a tale of two halves. It almost looked like a typical Chiefs game where the first half, Eagles looked like pretty much controlled. If it wasn't for a defensive touchdown by the Chiefs in the second quarter, the game would have been 24-17 going into the half, but it was 24-14 going into the half. And like I said, it's a tale of two halves. Patrick Mahomes ended up taking the Super Bowl MVP with a stat line of 21 of 27, 182 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 6 rushes for a clutch 44 yards rushing. The story coming into the Super Bowl was, how would Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain hold up against the vaunted Eagles defense? Well, he didn't run much, but when he did, they were key rushing yards. In the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes had a 26-yard run to set up the Chiefs in field goal range to try and take the lead late in the fourth. And they were able to do just that and win the game 38-35. Travis Kelce had another great game where he had 6 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. Also, Isaiah Pacheco and Juju Smith-Schuster came up big, as well as, and now I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he caught the second catch, and we'll remember it a little bit later. But Mahomes took home the Super Bowl MVP, so he completed the MVP sweep for the year. He got the MVP, and I'll mention that later with the NFL awards. But Mahomes took home the Super Bowl MVP. Eagles lose in a heartbreaker, and I say this because it was the second appearance for the Eagles in the last 5 years. And they were leading at halftime 24-14. So if you look at it, the first half, Eagles were doing everything right, and the Chiefs were kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Second half, the Eagles couldn't really move the ball against the Chiefs defense, and the Chiefs offense was unstoppable. The Eagles defense got outplayed during the game because, especially in the second half, they didn't get any sacks on Patrick Mahomes when they were the leading team in sacks this year, and Patrick Mahomes had a quote-unquote high ankle sprain that he was nursing. I put air quotes out there because, yeah, he was grimacing, and at one time it looked like he did tweak the high ankle sprain, but to be honest, literally probably what they did was like, they just shot him with Novocaine in his ankle, and he was like, whatever happens, happens. I don't even want to feel my ankle. Let me just shoot it up and get back out there, and we're going to keep playing. Like Ronnie Lott. I always love this story about Ronnie Lott, really famous, legendary Hall of Fame 49er safety. He broke his finger midway through one of the playoff games. I believe it was the NFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl. He broke his finger, and instead of them taking time to put it back in place, he told him to cut it off. And so he cut off one of his fingers so he could get back in the game sooner. So I know Patrick Mahomes, when he tweaked his high ankle sprain, was like, Doc, shoot me up. I don't care if I don't feel my foot. It's another 45 minutes, hour game left. Let's just do it. And that's probably what happened. So respect to Patrick Mahomes for risking his ankle. And, hey, he's a winner. He's got 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. Can't take that away from him. Now, 3 reasons why the Chiefs won this game. Number 1, they established and continued to run the ball effectively for 26 carries, 158 yards with a 6.1 average yard per carry with 1 touchdown. The Chiefs, after being a high often passing team, the Chiefs were one of the biggest passing teams this year. They really committed to the run and really kept the Eagles defense off balance when they wanted to rush the passer in Patrick Mahomes and put pressure on Mahomes. Number 2, reasons why the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Chiefs defense outplayed the Eagles' tough defense. When the Chiefs defense in the second half needed to make a stop, they got the stops. Yeah, they allowed the Eagles to come back, tie the game, or get within 2 points and go for the 2-point conversion and tie the game at 35. But that was the only touchdown that they allowed in the second half, whereas the Eagles defense allowed 3 touchdowns in the second half. Also, number 3, as to why the Chiefs won, is that the second half adjustments is where the Chiefs made their hay. They basically won the Super Bowl by making those adjustments. And yeah, we've heard in recent days, recent weeks that people say, "Oh, adjustments are crap." But like, how do you explain the way teams change their game from one half to another? How do you explain that the Chiefs' second half adjustments led to the point where they did not get stopped on any possession? The Chiefs scored on, I almost want to say, on every possession of the second half. If not, it was like 5 out of 6 possessions of the second half, where they scored 21 unanswered, and then they had a field goal or 21 points, and then they scored a field goal. So they scored 24 points in the second half, which is really good for a team that only scored 14 in the first half. Then, the Super Bowl halftime show. I just want to get into the Super Bowl halftime show. Rihanna did her thing. Like, she did her thing. And respect to Rihanna. Like, I'm not one of those people that is going to give you credit because you're pregnant. Like, if you choose to do your activity while you're pregnant, that's you. Like, I can't really give you credit for that because, like, you choosing, like, nobody's saying, "Oh, you're pregnant, but you still got to perform anyway." Nah. Just like I'm just saying it's commendable that you still would want to perform, and nobody should blame you if you didn't want to perform. I'm just saying if you're pregnant and you still go through with it, I'm just going to hold you to the same standard that I would normally hold Rihanna. And Rihanna kicked butt. Like, Rihanna did her thing. She was flying, floating around everywhere and doing the thing, and respect to that. And I just thought it was funny because when we found out that she was pregnant, I kind of chuckled because when I'm looking at the imagery of the halftime show, the imagery literally it was like a bunch of white, small little things around one red thing. And it made me think of, it just made me think of sperm going around an egg, and she was just trying to announce that she was pregnant. And so the illustration and the imagery that I got from the Rihanna performance was that she was pregnant. You saw the little bump, but at the same time, all those little white things were like sperm, and then Rihanna was the egg. And so that was a good way to announce that you're pregnant, Rihanna. You did a great job at the halftime show, and everybody loved it. Like, I thought it was a good halftime show. So, and congratulations to Travis Scott and Rihanna for being pregnant with their second child. Now, I have to get into this questionable call here on the Leo B. the Lion show. There was a questionable call late in the fourth quarter. A defensive holding was called, and it was a ticky-tack call, which basically decided the outcome of the Super Bowl. And there's so many people today, all the pundits, all the analysts, they don't want to blame it on that, but it was a huge part of the game. So listen to this. The Chiefs were facing a 3rd and 8 on the Eagles' 25-yard line, and there was a little more than 2 minutes left. The Eagles had one timeout, and the Chiefs tried to do a little wheel route with Juju Smith-Schuster that turned into an out-and-up route, and Bradbury, the corner, did a little tug on the jersey of Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, by the letter of the law, of course, it's defensive holding. You give, 5 yards and a free first down. But to give the Chiefs 5 yards and a free first down allowed the Chiefs to get a new set of downs and to run the clock all the way down to 11 seconds before they kicked the field goal. What I want the NFL to do going forward, and, this is the Leo B. the Lion show coming to you live here at Respectable Street on Clematis in beautiful downtown West Palm Beach from 6 to 7 every Monday. And you can follow me on Leo B. the Lion show, where I post the videos of the show. But what the NFL needs to do is that for the defense, and if you agree with me or disagree with me, let me know in the comments. But for the defense, the NFL needs to stop giving the offense automatic first downs. Now, let's just say this. If yesterday it was a 5-yard penalty for a defensive holding, But then it was repeat third down. The Chiefs would have been 3rd and 3. We would have gone to the 2-minute warning, and the Chiefs would have had a shot to convert the first down or, still have to kick after one more play. Probably another, say the Eagles stop them, another 40 seconds run off, and then you have Jalen Hurts has a chance and the Eagles have a chance with 1 point, or with like a minute and 20 left to go with one timeout to have a chance to go and tie the game up and take it into overtime. And that would be the second Super Bowl to reach the overtime. But when you give the Chiefs an automatic first down, it completely destroys the competitiveness of the game. It makes the field goal be a newer chip shot. It takes the strategy out of the game. It just gives the Chiefs an easy open door to win the Super Bowl. It would also, I believe, if we change the rule where defensive holding, illegal touching, any defensive call except for maybe PI would not be an automatic new set of downs, not be an automatic first down. Do it like how on the special teams where if it's like 4th and 8 and it's running into the kicker, they only put it up 5 yards. They don't get a new set of downs. Even if it was 3rd and 11, say it's 3rd and 11 and you have a defensive like holding something that costs 10 yards and it's 3rd and 11, it should be repeat third down but be 3rd and 1. What would be the big reason to not do that? I think that the NFL is skewed entirely too much for the offense, and yeah, we want to see shootouts, yeah, chicks dig the long ball, all that, but we want to make the game as competitive as possible. I think more people would watch. One, it would help alleviate questionable effects of the new set of downs, and it would make the game more competitive because if the Chiefs wanted to get that first down and they moved it up 5 yards to 3rd and 3, they would have had a totally different game plan, and the outcome probably would have been completely different. Under those rules, the Chiefs would still have a chance to convert on attempt a field goal if they failed to convert on the 3rd and 3. And on offense, they get to repeat the downs. Except for on offense, when there's an offensive penalty, they get to repeat the down. It's not you don't lose the down, except for intentional grounding and illegal forward pass. Well, the same thing. It should be pass interference, you only get a new set of downs, or like 15-yard face mask, only get a new set of downs because those are personal fouls, stuff like that. But not for holding. Give me a break. PI, I'm okay with the spot foul, like I said. And like I said, if it's 3rd and 11 and a 10-yard penalty happens on the defense, it should go to 3rd and 1. It shouldn't be a new set of downs. I think the NFL committee should look into that. But it's funny that when it happens for the Chiefs, they don't really look into it. And I've noticed that the Chiefs now are the new Patriots, where come hell or high water, the Chiefs find a way to win. They found a way in the AFC Championship to get like 6 downs on one series and get like a untimed down and a new set of downs, even though it wasn't warranted. And now in the Super Bowl, they got a new set of downs, even though it wasn't warranted. So I'm just noticing, and that used to happen to the Patriots a lot, and they had a guy named Tom Brady, and they were caught for cheating twice. So I'm just saying that, come on, man. Like, take referees. Y'all aren't that important. Take the game out of y'all hands and leave it in the hands of the players. That's all I'm saying. Make the game be as even as possible. Stop making the NFL look like it's rigged. Now, really quick, after that questionable call in Super Bowl is basically all but over. You could see Nick Sirianni said, that's not the only thing that cost us the game. There were many other things that cost us the game. But I just hate to see a team go out like that. I'm not even an Eagles fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. That's well known on the show. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins #1. I always do that football sound effect too. But I think the Miami Dolphins next year are primed for a playoff run. They're a quarterback away. If somehow we can get Derek Carr, who's going to be a free agent. Derek Carr today declined to meet with the Saints and sign with the Saints. He does not want to be the coach under Dennis Allen. Be coached under Dennis Allen again as he was in the Raiders. But I firmly believe if the Dolphins got Derek Carr, that would either push Tua or Derek Carr would have all the weapons that Tua had last year. And can you imagine that might be a better offense than what Tua could do. But we'll never know unless the Dolphins try to sign Derek Carr. We shall see as a free agent, and hopefully we could get him up on a veterans discount since he's going to be a free agent. He got basically kicked off the Raiders. In the preseason, I picked Patrick Mahomes to be the MVP, and that was basically the only thing I got right for the preseason picks. The offensive player of the year was Justin Jefferson, and I got to give it to Justin Jefferson. He led the league in receptions and total yards as a receiver, and he was able to show out with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback, and he had Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, and other weapons on his team. He's still far and away the go-to receiver on the Vikings, and teams know that. They scheme for Justin Jefferson. They roll coverage over to his side, but he's able to still cook, still get his numbers, and still become the offensive player of the year for the 22-23 season, Justin Jefferson from the Vikings. The defensive player of the year was from a team that I don't necessarily like how they play because, I still thought they were overrated. But the defensive player of the year, got to hand it to him, was Nick Bosa. He's been top 3 in the NFC in sacks, and he's able to always disrupt the quarterback, disrupt the quarterback, except for last 2 weeks ago in the NFC Championship where they were unable to get to Jalen Hurts effectively. So Nick Bosa won the Defensive Player of the Year. The Bosa brothers, watch out. They're like the new reincarnation of the Watt brothers. You got TJ Watt and JJ Watt, but now it's Nick and Joey Bosa, and that's so interesting. #genes. Then for the Coach of the Year was a fan favorite, and that's Brian Daboll. Before the year started, nobody expected the Giants to do anything, let alone get to the playoffs. And all Brian Daboll had was an opening 2-point conversion, opening day victory against the Titans to shock the Titans, upset the Titans by going for it for 2 to basically walk off the game, to win or lose the game. And they were able to do that with a swing pass to Saquon. And the Giants, there was no looking back after that for the Giants. The Giants were able to secure a playoff spot and win a wild card game before they ran up against the Eagles in the divisional round. So, Coach of the Year, Brian Daboll for the Giants, former offensive coordinator for the Bills, and offensive coach for the Miami Dolphins. The Assistant of the Year was DeMeco Ryans. Congratulations to DeMeco Ryans for getting the head coaching job for the Houston Texans, longtime Texan. I believe he's a 5-time Pro Bowler with the Houston Texans. And DeMeco Ryans deserved it because he had the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. He was able to get those 49ers to overachieve, especially with a third-string quarterback in Brock Purdy. When you had Brock Purdy, there was no room for error on the defense, and the 49ers defense literally stepped it up. And with Nick Bosa, the aforementioned Nick Bosa, and other players like Fred Warner, and I apologize, the Uche, the guy, Hufanga. He was a great safety that really came out of nowhere, where they drafted him and they were pleasantly surprised. And he plays like a Troy Polamalu plays, where he has no really position as a safety. It's kind of like almost like an instinctual way to play safety, where you're kind of all over the field. You can blitz. You kind of have that free range. You're like a Purdue chicken. You have that free range to just kind of like go wherever you want on the field. Then I laugh at my own jokes, ladies and gentlemen. I just love myself. But the Offensive Rookie of the Year was Garrett Wilson. And this I find kind of peculiar. So you're saying the Jets, who missed the playoffs, but you gave them both Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year. You gave the Jets Garrett Wilson as the Offensive Rookie of the Year, when I'm sure if we look through all the stats and everything, there was probably a better offensive player like Chris Olave from the Saints than Garrett Wilson for the Jets. Now, Sauce Gardner, I agree with that. He got a couple picks on the Dolphins. I agree that Sauce Gardner should have been the Defensive Rookie of the Year. But I can't, it doesn't sit right when you have 2 Jets being the Rookies of the Year. It just feels weird to me. It's kind of like the NFL offices are in New York. It kind of feels like a cheap, easy way to be like, oh, yeah, let me just throw the Jets a bone. Our offices are in New York. Let's give Jets both offensive and defensive rookie of the year. So that was kind of peculiar to me. I just didn't understand that. I don't agree with the Garrett Wilson pick, but I do agree with the Sauce Gardner pick. The comeback player of the year was Geno Smith. They tried to write him off, and as he said famously, he didn't write back. And I always try to say they tried to write him off, but they forgot he wasn't tax deductible. So you can't write off something that's not really tax deductible, or it's a bad debt. You got to write off that bad debt. But anyway, that's too convoluted, and that's just Leo B. the Lion's mind. That was just a little picture inside my brain going on. Walter Payton Man of the Year was Dak Prescott, and this is one of the most honorable awards that you can get in the NFL. It involves to being a philanthropist in your community, helping out your community, helping underprivileged kids, or maybe homeless shelter, or doing something in your community to uplift the community. And Dak Prescott, congratulations to Dak Prescott to win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Jalen Phillips, the defensive end for the Miami Dolphins, was up for the award, but Dak Prescott, obviously, they're all deserving candidates. They all do great work for the community, but I believe Dak Prescott deserved that for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Now, switching sports over real quick to basketball. There was a few NBA blockbuster trades that happened over the past week, and it kind of upended the East and strengthened the West. KD went to the Suns. That's right, ladies. Kevin the Durantula Durant went to the Suns, the Slim Weeper, for Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, and they didn't have to give up DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, or Devin Booker in this trade. So I'm really impressed by that, by the Suns making moves to get KD. Kyrie got out of the Brooklyn. You know how they say Beastie Boys were like, no sleep till Brooklyn? Kyrie was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep till I get out of Brooklyn. So he went to the Mavs, the Dallas Mavericks, for Spencer Dinwiddie and some players. It's a good trade for the Mavs and the Suns. They both now are with the Mavericks. They now are title contenders with Luka and Kyrie. And with the Suns, they are potentially a super team with Ayton, Booker, Paul, and Durant now. The Magic got rid of Mo Bamba, who's kind of like a crowd favorite because he has that song, the Mo Bamba song. But other than that, he really didn't contribute much to the franchise. So we got rid of Mo Bamba. We traded him to the Lakers. Then the West, it becomes so much more formidable now with the Mavs and the Suns getting better. The Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Kings have already kind of surprised people being the top 3 seeds. But now with the Mavs and the Suns getting into the mix, it's going to be a crazy, crazy Western Conference playoffs. The East has now turned into a battle, in my opinion, between the Celtics and the Sixers. I like Giannis, but something about it, like Milwaukee winning the NBA championship, just doesn't sit right with me. So I think the two favorites are the Celtics and the Sixers, which is a classic rivalry in the NBA. Watch out for the Bucks. I don't really believe in the Cavs. Then, real quick, the top 8 in the East right now are the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Cavs, the Nets, the Heat, the Knicks, and the Hawks. Like I said, I like the Celtics and the Sixers to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the top 8 in the West are the Nuggets, the Grizz, the Kings, the Mavs, the Suns, the Clippers, Pelicans, and Timbies. That is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Shout out to my son for calling it Timbies. I like the Mavs and Suns if they can get there in the Western Conference Finals, but it's probably going to end up being the Nuggets and the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. We shall see. My finals prediction right now, as it stands, is the Suns versus Celtics, and the Celtics win the championship. Now, we have a few minutes because with the new schedule, we have to check out the schedule on subcultureradio.com. You'll see what comes on after this show. But with the schedule, I'm going to give you my new 5-pack of picks. There's no longer any football for the foreseeable future and for about 8 months. And so I'm still kind of hot on my 5-pack of picks. My record is 52, 40, and 2. That's 12 games over 500 with 2 pushes. And so let's go for the upcoming week, the 2:15. These teams all play on Wednesday, 2:15. And let's see how it goes. It's all NBA picks. straight up. The Heat versus the Nets play on Wednesday. It's in Brooklyn. Like I mentioned earlier, the Nets are don't really have any stars right now. Yeah, they have Spencer Dinwiddie and Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. They're going to play hard, but I think the Heat can take that one, so give me the Heat. The Cavs at the Sixers. The Sixers are a hot team right now. Harden and Embiid are gelling. Tyrese Maxey is a great defender. So give me the Sixers against the Cavs on Wednesday night. The next matchup I have on my hashtag 5-pack of picks is the Mavs at the Nuggets. The Mavs go on the road. They don't really necessarily match up well against the Nuggets because of Jokic and everything that he can do on the inside. But give me the Mavs with Kyrie and Luka to go into Denver on Wednesday night and take care of business. I'll take the Mavs. Then we have the Pelicans versus Lakers. Give me the Lakers at home in La La Land. I like the Lakers to do this now. They got Rui Hachimura, and they were able to get D'Angelo Russell back. He played with Kobe back in the day, so that's kind of cool. Give me the Lakers. Then the final pick in my hashtag 5-pack of picks is the Pistons at the Celtics. The Celtics are the number 1 seed in the East. Some would say the best team in the NBA. And the best the best all-around team in the NBA as well, with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and they can play defense too, and a potential MVP candidate, Jason Tatum. So give me the Celtics. The Pistons are bad this year, and so my hashtag 5-pack of picks for this coming week, Wednesday 2:15 in the NBA slate, are the Heat, the Sixers, the Mavs, the Lakers, and the Celtics. Now, just a couple more minutes. I think that the NBA is going to really take over now that baseball is going to get started, but baseball just doesn't have the juice like it did. Although in spring training, it does get the juice down here. You during spring training time for the next month or so, pitchers and catchers are reporting, but also at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter and the ballpark of the Palm Beaches in West Palm Beach, you can check out the home teams that are the Palm Beach Cardinals, or the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Miami Marlins in Jupiter, and the Houston Astros and Washington Nationals in West Palm Beach. So teams like the Yankees, Red Sox, they're all coming into town, and I can't wait to see the spring training, but I really think that after that month, after you see the Astros fans and the Cardinals fans and the Nationals fans go back up north after making a trip down here, baseball, if the Marlins are in it by the end of May, I'll be happy. If they're still in it by the end of April, I'll be happy. But if they're in it by the end of the May, I'll be really super duper happy. So after talking about baseball, I just want to get back into, this isn't a hashtag words of encouragement segment. This is just one thing to leave you by. And whoever gets a chance to listen to my show, it's just something that I really need you to hear. And that it's a quote that I've lived by since I went to grad school and since I've been up and coming in my work career, is that people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. I can't stress this enough, how important it is to treat your employees with respect, with decency, and to understand and try to put yourselves in their shoes of what you got going on. Cost to replace an employee is 3 months of that employee's salary. So business owners, I'm telling you, people don't leave bad jobs. They leave bad bosses. Work has changed in the last 3 years, especially since the pandemic. And can you get the job done or not? Can your employees get the job done? Maybe it might not be in the time that you want it to be, but do they get the job done? Respect, admire them, commend them for that, but also treat them with decency and understand that work isn't the end-all, be-all. This is not like 1999 where you got to kill yourself for your job. We're quiet quitting. We're work-life balancing. We're getting after it, but we're still getting the job done. This has been Leo B. the Lion Show. You can follow me on Twitter and IG and YouTube at Leo B. the Lion Show. I post my videos on YouTube weekly, and you can listen live from 6 to 7 on Mondays via subcultureradio.com. If you listen live, link. I film here every week from 6 to 7. This has been Leo B. the Lion signing off. Have a great week, everybody.